Welcome back. I mentioned that we won't design every single intermediate screen, like when you don't have an address or a credit card has not been put in the system. But we should make the most of those few screens where the user might change his mind, where he might drop off. For example, the credit card screen when he adds one to the app. Let's start by making a copy of the last screen. Remove both those cards because we won't need them. For some extra housekeeping, let's change the call to action to Save Credit Card. That's the likely main action. As for the action bar itself, this should say Add Payment Method. By the way, in case you want to get smart with it, you could add fancier titles like How are you gonna pay? Younger people really appreciate this stuff. Now, if the client gives you a brief that's aimed at the younger audience, please don't be afraid to spice up your copy. Worst case, the client doesn't like it and you go back to the boring stuff. But in case he does like it, you might get yourself a bonus or at least make a very good impression. So spice things up whenever you can. Okay, let's handle the fields. By the way, did you know that you can change the viewing mode in the Assets panel? So I prefer the thumbnail version, but there's a list as well. Though that shows me how messy I am with my naming, so I would rather switch out to hide that embarrassment. Okay, let's add 4 fields in total. Remember, center them on the canvas. The first one needs to be 32 pixels away from the action bar. Okay, change the state to the simple BG version. Okay, please don't forget to add an appropriate title and hint. Now this does take some time, but it's totally okay. Now the first 2 fields are going to be credit card number and then name on card. Now for the credit card number, I found it best to use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and so on. Smashing the 0 key doesn't look all that great, to be honest. Now the other 2 fields need to be an expiration date and the CVV. Now the CVV thing is the short number on the back of the card. And since these 2 fields don't need to be full width because they're quite small, this is a good chance to remind ourselves about how we make them narrower. And that's by using a fixed width on the instance. And then go down a level and set up the field itself to fill container. Okay, I hope this is starting to make sense. The field is inside something. If that something is bigger and the field is set to fill, then obviously the field will grow accordingly, and vice versa. But the default setting in our case is that the field is set to fixed. So now no matter how much we change the width of the main container, the field itself, it's doing its own thing. We don't want that, so that's why we're changing it to fill container. Awesome. Now all is fine and well with these 4 fields, but there's nothing new or special here in this screen. This is why we're gonna take the time to design something above all these fields. So grab all of them and move them down. Start with a rectangle that's 656 by, let's say 350 or something like that. Center it and make it pure white. The idea is to make a credit card design that shows you what you put inside those fields from downstairs. So as you're typing the text, you see the card change. So this is quite nice. I've done it in the past and it's a nice touch. Now, is this needed? No, it's not. But it makes the screen more interesting and it's not hard to code, so it's fairly cheap. Now, round out the corner radius by putting in 10 pixels. And then let's add a standard shadow. So this is going to be the foundation for our card. Let's get the type tool and write out credit card. Set this up as a large title and then change it to orange. Now we could potentially write Visa or MasterCard, but let's keep it generic. Then please use this icon that you have attached. This is called chip. It's already golden yellow and it's fairly well sized. All that you have to do is place it 32 pixels from both edges, the left side and the top. Hold the Alt key for that and tap your arrow keys. I'm sure that's becoming second nature by now as you're working along. Now for the number, we're gonna use the exact same format, so simply drag out a copy. Now here's the thing, we need to mirror the hint from the field. But this is a great teaching moment. Now you may want to copy paste it, right? But if you do that, you're gonna get that specific styling in Figma. And obviously we don't want that. That's why we made a copy. We want the previous formatting, right? So the best way to get rid of any formatting, even when you're pasting something in Microsoft Word from another website, is this. Use a standard notepad program. So paste it there and then copy it again and paste it in Word or Figma or whatever. And if you do that, you're gonna keep the previous formatting. In this case, this chunky format. So again, I always go through Notepad when I'm copy pasting stuff into emails or any text editors. And now you know that this applies to Figma as well. Okay, back to it. We need to leave quite a lot of empty space between each group. So the easiest way, the manual way of doing it, smash the spacebar key and then use copy paste between every single group. Now the question is, could we use an auto layout? Sure, 100%. But this is how we did it back in the days of Photoshop. Now what I'm gonna do in this manual version, I'm gonna use Alt to check the distance on the right side. And as long as you don't have a huge difference, I'm gonna be fine with that. Again, we could make this entire card with auto layouts, but I know some people hate auto layouts, so that's why from time to time I'm gonna simplify things. Okay, in terms of distance, 20 pixels should be good between the chip and this layer. But the orange color doesn't work. Instead, let's go for blue. Yellow might work as well, but we'd have to change the white rectangle to something else a bit darker. And then I think that would be too much work, especially since we have a colored main background. So that would be a bit difficult. Okay, now for the expiration date, let's add a text layer. This should be shown in the body styling. And then for the color, let's go with gray. As for the name, I'm honestly undecided. I think probably label is the best thing for it. Now the tricky part is that we have loads and loads of text layers, so we need to make sure they don't clash between them. But yeah, I think that's about it. Oh, something I nearly forgot. We do have another icon for the right side. Have a look at the paddings before we end. And of course, obviously raise up the fields underneath. But yeah, this is the type of thing clients appreciate when you go the extra mile. This wasn't in the brief, it wasn't in the wireframes, I just came up with it. Sometimes the client may reject the idea, he may not like it, but this was what, 10 minutes of work, maybe 20 minutes if you don't have any icons. But you know, is it worth it for those clients who really want something special, that want something with a bit of zing? I think yes. By the way, on your own, please remake this card with auto layout and make it into a component and share it with me. I'd like to see how you manage, but it shouldn't be all that hard to be honest. Let me know in the comments section. But yeah, with that we can continue. Thank you so much.